just a few minutes early, so we'll kind of wait till 7 o'clock to actually get started. But a little bit more of a laid back day today, since we've been pretty busy with the farmers market all day today. So. And it's kind of mist and rain and cold, so we'll do this one in front of the fireplace. We'll go ahead and get started a little bit early tonight, which is fine with me. I want to welcome everybody to this question and answer with us. I'm Tony with Given Chances Farm. This is Michaela and Taylor, and then Brittany's going to be running the computer for us tonight. That way, if you guys comment any questions, she can let me know the question and I can address it. That's kind of what this is about. I'll go ahead and kind of fill you guys in on a little bit of stuff if you haven't caught it in our videos lately. December 10th, we ended up having to process out one of our goats. She was purchased very cheap, and then come to find out the reason she was so cheap is they didn't want anybody finding out she was registered, which we did because we found the tattoos in her ear, but they weren't wanting her to continue to be registered after sold, and she ended up coming down. She tested positive for a disease, CAE, that's contagious through the colostrum, and then depending on who you talk to, it can even be contagious through the adults from their feces possibly. So after consulting with our vet, we weren't going to take the chance of passing that on to Hot Chocolate, who is a registered Toggenburg, and we were going to take her to breed her and start our herd out. So, or the girl's herd, I should say. But so we ended up processing her out. We got the meat back on the 16th, and actually had used some of the ground meat that night for tacos. It's the first time any of us had ever eaten goat.
Girls didn't even know that.
Girls didn't even know the difference that we had substituted it for hamburgers. So until we told them. So
yeah.
But they still ate it and they liked it. So I'm sure we'll eat the other 19 more packs that we got left. So, but so we got that. We've got some other things with the farmers market going on. Also, you know, we want to thank everybody that watches our videos, because, you know, without you guys, then basically all it is me sitting here talking to the camera so I can watch it later, I guess. But other than that, we have actually, this YouTube channel has been able to provide us with customers. The very first video I did about pin turning turned out getting me a customer from out of state. So I turned another pin and mailed that one out of state to be able to sell it to him. So, and then, you know, we've had some other customers that have come up to us at the farmers market, and then on our business card, bless you, our business card has all of our social media on the back of it. And, you know, you'll come home from a farmer's market, and next thing you know, we get the notification that we have a new subscriber, and when you look at it, sometimes it tells you who the subscriber is, sometimes it doesn't. Depends on their settings, and a lot of times we've found out that it was somebody that we talked to and was a customer at the farmer market for us that day, and now they're a subscriber on our channel and follow us on other social media as well. And we enjoy the interaction with people. Anybody that's watched our videos can tell that I don't have a problem talking, so part of that is the job that I do. I mean, for those of you that aren't aware, I'm a career firefighter, so and even before I got on the fire department, I rode on an ambulance for a while, so you have to be able to talk to people to figure out what's going on with them. So being able to talk to people and talk in general is not very hard for me. It's kind of part of the job, and I've been at it now for almost over 20 years now. So as far as in EMS and doing medical work, so and then for those of you that don't know about it, Brittany is actually a registered nurse, so she's in the medical field as well. And then as of right now, the girls are telling us their future plans at the time being is becoming a veterinarian, so that's pretty interesting to us. We watch a lot of Dr. Pol, and the girls can tell you a lot about the animals. And when our vet does come out here to help us with our animals, the girls usually go to the barn if they're here with a notebook so that they can take notes and ask her questions. I feel we have a very good veterinarian that we deal with right now. Very open to answer all of our questions that we come up with. Works with us on teaching us things that we can do on our own, and if it's something that we want to do, all we have to do is ask her when she's here, and she will let us do it and watch us and make sure we're doing it properly. That way, I'm paying her to be here, so if she's going to allow me to do something and make sure I'm doing it right, and basically training me to do it, then why not? There's been some things that, like tattooing their ears, I didn't know how to do that, even as much as, putting an ear tag in, making sure I was doing everything, making sure the ear taggers sterilized between animals, all of that stuff. It was all new to me when we first started using her as a vet, because, I know in the past I was used to raising horses. I wasn't used to ear tagging anything. So when we switched over to cattle and started that, all that stuff is new. So the only thing I really want to try to learn the next time that she's here is to do our own castrations. When we have a bull calf come in, we usually like to have her here within the first 30 days, and we go ahead and castrate that bull calf, turn it into a steer, and we start feeding it out. Then it moves up the list to where it becomes a show calf, as long as one of the girls are interested in it. If it makes the cut for being a show calf, then that's what its life will be up until the time that we decide to either sell it off for meat for somebody else or process it out for ourselves. So, but we start them out as young as we can to try to halter break them and start that working process. So, we're looking forward to having the goat herd expand a little bit. We did take Hot Chocolate on the 13th of this month, and I was able to witness the buck at least 3 times for sure that he got her. I know he mounted her, or at least attempted to mount her multiple times, but myself and the other 2 that were there at least witnessed 3 times that we were pretty certain that the job actually got accomplished. So we're in the process now of waiting to see, her next heat cycle, to see, because she definitely was in heat that day. Her tail was wagging, which they call flagging, and she was standing there for him. So, and then she continued to ooze and flag that next day up until probably the night feeding. So I would say, they say like 12 to 36 hours they can do that. So she was within that time frame. So now we're just waiting that 21, 18 to 20 some days, basically shooting for that 21 day marker to make sure it doesn't happen again. And if it doesn't, that means she took, and then at 30 days we will pull blood from her and send in to DHI over in Ohio to do a bioprin test on that, and that basically looks for the pregnancy markers in her blood. It's looking for a protein, if I remember right off of the paperwork. But for those of you that are not sure about what bioprin is, you can look it up on their website, and you can actually even pre-order the kit, and that's the way we did it. So we actually started doing it with the cattle, and back when we started doing it, about 5 years ago, I think it was. When you pre-ordered the kit, you got 10 tests was included in the pre-order, and it was I think it was $27.50, so it broke down to be about $2.75 a test. And in that pre-order, it included the vat container and the blood tubes shipped to you, and there was no expiration date on when you had to use them. So for a farm like ours, that initially we were only testing 2 cows at a time, so that's 5 years worth of calves right there for $27. But then you have to pay, once you get those sample or the blood tubes and everything sent to you, you have to take the blood and then ship the samples back to them. So you're paying shipping going back to them, but it's still pretty cheap in the grand scheme of things, and they will email you the results. So normally, I think they do their testing like Tuesday through Thursday. I can't remember off the top of my head, but so when you mail those samples in, we normally try to do ours on a Monday morning. We'll pull the samples and then take them straight to the post office and send them off. And then normally by like Wednesday or so, usually a couple of days later, in my email I've got the results. And they say the accuracy on that is like 96+% accuracy rate on that. And it's been 100% for us, because we haven't had any of them it's told us that they were pregnant that weren't yet. But it gives you 3 levels basically on a percentage of how much they find of that protein in the blood sample. They either put that they're open, high recheck, or pregnant. And I know the oldest cow that we have out there, Sunday, she was the original cow and calf combo that we bought. we can kind of tell before we pull the blood on her that she's pregnant, just because you can tell by her actions, and her hormones start going a little bit more, because she starts getting a little bit
more irritated.
A little bit irritated, yeah, would be, I guess, the nice way of putting it. And it only happens in that short window right after she's bred again. So, and it's usually for about a 2-week time period in that, when she's already bred enough that we can test her. So, usually about a week or so before we can test her, all the way to a week after we test her, she's a little bit testy. So you gotta kind of pay attention to her. But after that, she's back to her old self again and just as laid back as can be. But she has that about a 2-week window usually that she's just a little bit difficult. So, but every time that happens and we test her, the marker that they're looking for in her blood, she is normally like
above
3 times that limit or more. So, I mean, her hormone for that is more than 3 times what they're looking for. So that definitely, I'm sure it's kind of part of the reason that she has that little bit of an influx there. But we deal with it, and she's never tried to hurt us or got aggressive at all during that time frame. She's just a little bit more stubborn. So when you do try to move her, she kind of just stands her ground and stays there and doesn't really want to do what you want her to do very easily. So, but we're going to attempt to do the same bioprin with the goat. That same facility does the same testing for the goats as well. The only difference with it is in the cows, we put them in the chute and you take blood from their tail head and send it in, versus the goat will actually take it from her jugular vein. So, and I have not done that yet. I did watch the vet do it when they were taking the blood samples for the CAE testing. With Brittany and I both having the medical background, both of us know how to start IVs. So, getting blood out of the EJ is not going to be that much of a difficulty. Especially when I was able to watch, because I was holding the goat. And when you back it into a corner is the way she had me do it, and then lift their head up and tilt it to the side, that vein sticks out. You could throw a lawn dart at it. It's so prominent. So shouldn't be hard at all to get what we need to get accomplished. So, and she does really good standing there, the goat does. So, she wasn't attempting to move or argue with me about holding her head either. So then that'll, if everything goes right with that, we'll be having a kid. Or kids, who knows.
Because goats can throw twins.
Right.
Quadruplets.
So we'll be looking for that around May 12th. So that'll add to it. We're also looking and even talked to one of the ladies that was there when I was getting her bred. There was another doe in there with that buck, and it's about 30 days ahead of Hot Chocolate. So I think it's scheduled to kid in the ballpark of like April 10th. So there's a possibility that we might be looking at purchasing a doeling from them if they have one at that time. So because Hot Chocolate needs a friend. There's a possibility we might have opportunity to get one before that. Then we we may go that route if the finances are there at the time. So I mean, it's always about budgeting. You know, you have to make sure that we can offset costs, because this time of year hay's not going to get any cheaper. So we got to make sure we have feed for everybody, and then be able to get her a buddy. If we can't find another goat for her, then the other option is to pull a couple of the calves in, and that way she can run with the calves. We have 2 spring calves that we could wean if we needed to. We also have a yearling that's a 75%er, so he's on the small side also. We could pull him in. He's kind of like an Eeyore. He just, nothing really bothers him. He just kind of goes around the pasture, and he was one of the 4-H calves for this year too, so he's been handled frequently and just doesn't really have much of a care in the world, other than just like scratches and attention like the rest of them do. But so we can always pull him in and be with her. We were just giving her a little bit of a chance to allow that breeding to settle before we do anything to try to stress her out any more than we have to. So, but and then late spring, early summer of next year, we've got the breeding pair for the Idaho pasture pigs coming in. So that'll be our once they get here, that next winter will be our first year of overwintering pigs. So that will be interesting. So we'll make sure. So I've got some carpentry work to do between now and then, because I've got to get some A-frame pig shelters built between now and then. That way I can they'll have some kind of house out in the pasture. So, because with them, I don't plan on bringing them in the barn to have their piglets, just the same as we don't bring the cows in the barn to have their calves unless it's absolutely necessary. We try to allow them to do it as natural as possible, just the same as they would if we didn't intervene and domesticate the cows. So we're trying to push it back towards that's why in our rotational grazing or high intensity grazing, whichever you want to call it, when we move them from one place to the other into a smaller pen like that, what we're trying to do is simulate if they were in the wild and they had a predator chasing them, they would group together tight and they would move from place to place. So that's kind of what we do to the best of our abilities when we can and the weather permits it. We're looking to get a little bit more serious about that and how we do that over the next few years, with some fencing changes coming up this next year, and some other opportunities that have been brought to our attention here recently. We just started working with the Farm Service Agency Friday, so just, well, it was yesterday, well, yeah, yesterday was Friday. Yeah, started working with them yesterday, so with the holiday coming, that kind of puts us at a little bit of a standstill for a little bit, plus the weather not the greatest right now, but we were able to at least talk over the phone because of this whole virus going on. They're not having in-office meetings right now, just phone only. But definitely got some good feedback, and had a little bit of discussion about how our operation works, what we foresee our future being, and where we want to take it, and that way we can come to a common ground as to how they can use their resources to help us achieve our goals and move forward. So once this all breaks, we're going to they'll actually come out here for a farm visit and try to walk through things with us, and they're going to help us out as far as we're trying to make a push to increase our soil health around here by some of the practices that we do. So we want to make sure that when they come out here and do the farm visit, that we're both on the same page. That way we know that what we are doing is actually moving us towards those goals to increase our soil health. That way we can be more productive and also be stewards of the land as well, because we're not trying to take from the soil and not put anything back. You know, that's why we're trying to rotate them around, make sure we're moving their urine and feces to keep that up. We also want them rotating from place to place, that way they can be used as our weed control also. And then we're to the point now we want to integrate the chickens into that rotation also, so that they can try to come in to the pasture and scratch through the manure and be more of a pest management. So they're going to get through there and try and knock down the bugs for us. So, and the more that they scratch through the manure, the faster it'll break down and turn into something usable anyway. So that's why we've been kind of trialing putting some of the stall cleanings into the chicken pen and throwing mulch over top of it, and then throw scratch green on top of that. That way we can get them to turn that into compost basically, because then we're using your wood chips, which need a lot of nitrogen to break down, and then our stall cleanings, which have manure in it, that adds the nitrogen to the mix, and then the chickens can go in there and turn it. So they're basically turning our compost pile for us instead of me having to go out there and do it. So we'll see if that works for us. We've seen it on others on YouTube, but just because it works for them and it works on the video doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for us. And you know, I don't know how much editing was done on a video sometimes to see whether or not it worked as quick and as easily as it looked in the video. So, but, what we got over there?
No questions.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought I seen it. Okay. So with that comes a lot of opportunity for us. Brittany has wanted a greenhouse to extend our growing season. So part of our talks with them at the the Farm Service Agency, FSA, was they give us contact information to another office that handles different programs, and the EQIP program is one of theirs, and they have a program for high tunnels. So we were talking about that yesterday also. So there's the possibility that we could get a high tunnel here in the future. So then it comes to the point of, you know, Brittany and I checking everything that we have going on here and coming to the farm as to where we could locate that makes the most sense on the property. You know, because if you're going to be growing in it, then you're going to need water. At some point, I'm sure we're going to need lights to it, because, I mean, this time of year right now,
It got dark at like
5:30 it was dark, so doesn't really give you too much time. I mean, the girls usually don't even get out of school till like 3:20. So by the time they get home from school, and then you get a little bit of homework done,
Sure.
it's dark before you even get a chance to go feed the animals for the night. It seems like, but that would be a big opportunity for us to be able to extend our growing season, extend what we're able to grow, and possibly offer up the opportunity for us to sell some produce at the farmer's market along with the honey and the other items that we sell. So that would be a big enterprise for us to add to the farm. I know in past years, well, before kids, Brittany and I had a decent sized garden back then, and
We both work full time.
when we were both working full time, and we did a couple of farmers markets back then, actually selling our excess vegetables, and honestly, it wasn't a point of selling it to make money back then. It was really just selling it to get rid of them, and we were not selling them for what anybody would consider a profit at all, because we were taking them to the farmers market like zucchini, and our zucchini are not the little
Ones you buy from the store.
ones that you buy in the store that look like maybe an inch or so round and 3 or 4 inches long. Ours were 3 or 4 inches in diameter and about a foot long, and we were selling them back then. I think it was
Like $1.
$1 a piece, or and we'd sell out every time we went to the market. That was our goal. But we weren't there to make money. Basically, if we got rid of the vegetables that we had and we brought home more money than what it cost us for the booth rent that day, that's all we cared about. But looking back at that, it's not very sustainable that way, because we had lots of costs involved in driving to it and setting up and all that. But we weren't in it as a business at that time, and now we are. So now we have to take into account our time is money, and we have to look at things that way, because we have to be able to be sustainable. So if anything that we add to the farm, we kind of need it to pay for itself. If it doesn't pay for itself, then we've got to find something else that we're doing on the farm to be able to offset the cost of that. So we're hoping with the goats, we can start utilizing some of their milk, so that Brittany can either make some soaps or lotions, those kind of things. We just need to produce more of it, because what we were producing off of her, I can utilize by drinking or making ice cream, because I could use that for ice cream every day and take care of it. But I also would have to work a lot harder on keeping the weight off also, I guess. But only just having one, we need a second goat at least. That way she has a buddy, but also for more production on the milk side of it too, because then it would offer us opportunities to be able to use the excess stuff for that. Or like this time of year, sometimes you'll see people having bottle babies, so we could always sell the milk off for use for bottle babies as well. I know I've seen some Craigslist ads in our area selling, is that a quart, or how does he sell it? It might even be a half gallon, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's a half gallon, but like $10, $8-10 for a half gallon of milk for animal feed. So that adds up after a while. When you have food costs coming out, you got vet bills, so use quite a bit of the milk ourselves, but every once in a while, if you could get $8 or $10 out of a half gallon, that wouldn't be that bad of a deal to try to offset some of the costs. So, but let's see. Anything other than
Nope.
We're about a half hour into it. It's not too bad. So basically, we're anxious to get through this holiday season, keep everybody healthy, and start the new year out and see what the future holds for us. Outside of what we already know that's coming, but the only thing that's gonna stand in the way is us not trying. So as long as we stay positive and keep putting forth an effort, then we'll be able to try to move forward. If we don't, then we'll stay stagnant, I guess. But try to just make sure, every day we're thankful for being able to wake up and move on our own and get things accomplished, get things done, and then take everything day by day. We have our goals that we want for the future. Naturally we want a lot bigger house, a lot bigger property, and a lot more animals. But right now we're kind of confined to a certain area that we can live in due to my job. But after that, if we have the ability to move and obtain that bigger property, sounds like a good retirement for me. But some people are like, what are you going to do when you're done working here? And I was like, well, I hope to be working around the farm for myself. Not too many people like that idea. They don't, some people rather, they want to go to a beach somewhere or something like that, and I honestly don't have too much desire at all to go to a beach. I'd rather, it's more relaxing to me to be able to go out there with a lawn chair and sit in the pasture and watch the cows and all the other animals run around. But I mean, to each his own, I guess. Whatever makes you happy, that's what you should be doing anyway. So, but they always say that if you love what you're doing, then it's not work. So we enjoy what we do around here, and hope the girls do also. I think Tay's tired. She wore out from the farmer's market, aren't you? Yeah. So,
It's just good for being paid.
yeah. But all right. Nobody has any questions for us, then we're gonna go ahead and call this one. So we hope you enjoy watching our videos. If you have any suggestions for upcoming videos that you want to see, don't hesitate to put those in the comments of any of our videos. We did have a comment today. Somebody asked, they wanted to see how Brittany makes the vanilla extract. So the next time we have the need to do another batch of the vanilla extract, Brittany will definitely video it for everybody and put it on there, and with that she'll include the recipe like she does on any of the other stuff that we do. So
It's very simple.
but until then, if you have questions about how she does it or anything like that, don't hesitate to hit us up on social media. I'm sure she'll be happy to walk you through it and make sure that you have what you need to be successful with it. So feel free to contact us through any of our social media. We're here to help. If we can keep you guys from making some of the mistakes that we've made over the course of almost 16 years we've lived here, then we'd be happy to, because we've learned from our mistakes, and we try not to make them again. And if we can keep somebody else from doing the same mistake that we've made and possibly cost us money at some point, then we can save them from having that same mistake and costing themselves money, which nowadays, you know, everything gets more expensive as the years go on. So we know that we do learn most from when we make a mistake, but you know, there's nothing wrong with sharing your experience to keep someone else from making that either. So hope you guys enjoy the videos. Keep watching them, keep liking them, keep sharing them on social media with your family and friends, and we'll see you guys next month on another live.